I mean, we've always said the bankers are going to set up world government for themselves. Why did we know that? Because David Rockefeller wrote books about it and gave speech after speech saying it. But see, they have such disdain for the public, and I guess it works. They say global government doesn't exist. We're just setting up global governance.
Yeah, it's a word game. And when you say global governance, people like George Monbiot jump out and say, this is the best thing ever. We'll get 25 other academics to sign on to it. Hey, I'll write a book called The New World Order. But then when you expose what the New World Order really is, what global government really means, it means a carbon tax. It means a tattletale society. It means the implementation of their cashless society control grid. In the Netherlands, they have passed the law where all cars will have GPS systems and be taxed.
Oh, they're saying that's happening here. Jason, I'm going to play this final clip when we come back and take some calls. Thanks for the great report. We'll see you Sunday, 6 to 9 p.m., right after my Sunday show. Great job. All right, here's another clip of the Australian Prime Minister who was just defeated. His plan for carbon tax was shot down in the Australian Parliament. So he said what Obama said. He said, I'll just do it anyways. Schwarzenegger a month ago couldn't get the legislature before it closed to put taxes on television sets, taxes on emissions, taxes on cars. He just said, I'm just going to order the bureaucracy to do it. They have to be impeached. They have to be removed. These are dictators, tyrannists. These people are frauds. It's an international grid, a system of governance, a system of oppression. Here's the second clip of Prime Minister Kevin Rudd.
Industry and employment impacts of climate change. Where is there equivalent evidence basis to Treasury modelling published by the government on the cost impacts of households from the carbon pollution reduction scheme and on the adequacy of the compensation arrangements put in place by the Commonwealth Government in the government's white paper? The answer to both these questions is there is no evidence. None has been provided, none from any official source.
Total lie.
Where is the evidence basis offered by the new League of World Government Conspiracy Theorists that climate change can be effectively dealt with by market means or by uncoordinated national means? Again, no body of evidence, no official evidentiary document has been produced anywhere to substantiate that position.
Total lies.
The truth is that the do-nothing climate change skeptics offer no alternative official body of evidence from any credible government anywhere in the world. Absolutely none. The truth is they offer zero credible evidence. Instead, they offer maximum fear, the universal conservative stock in trade. And by doing so, these do-nothing climate change skeptics are prepared to destroy our children's future. The third group of climate change deniers are those who pretend to accept the science but then urge delay because they don't want their country to be the first to act. In Australia, there was once a political consensus resisting this parochial view. The Shergold report, commissioned by John Howard and written by the head of Mr Howard's department, Shergold himself, recommended that Australia should not wait for the rest of the world to act. This is what Mr Howard's report said on this prior to the last election, and I quote it. Waiting until a truly global response emerges before imposing an emissions cap will place costs on Australia by increasing business uncertainty and delaying or losing investment, unquote. Thus spake the Howard government. The current leader of the opposition also stated that a domestic emissions trading scheme would help in international negotiations too, and I quote, our first-hand experience in implementing an emissions trading scheme would be of considerable assistance in our international discussions and negotiation aimed at achieving an effective global agreement, unquote,
that's enough.
In July last year.
Now, did you notice he's saying you're a conspiracy theorist if you say this is a global government when the UN, Al Gore, the head of the EU all say it's a global government and it's in the treaty. He then says there's no scientific evidence that carbon dioxide isn't hurting us when there's 31,000 plus scientists in the U.S. alone saying it's all a fraud, and the UN's got 600 real climatologists that it turns out are on their payroll to engage in fraud. He then says those of us against this global government takeover and carbon tax are fearmongers. He goes on to say, and we don't care about our children's future being destroyed. Fear-mongering. They're the ones saying polar bears can't swim or dying when their numbers are exploding and penguins are drowning and that all the cities are going to be underwater on the coast and San Francisco, 900 feet above sea level, 938 feet is going to be underwater. Just all made up. All completely made up. They are the ones fear-mongering everywhere, saying we've got to give power to this international institution, the UN. But it turns out it's not the UN that's going to have it. It's the IMF and World Bank, and that is confirmed. London Guardian, Associated Press, Reuters. Copenhagen Climate Summit in disarray after Danish text leak. Developing countries react furiously to leaked draft agreement that would hand more power to rich nations. No, IMF, World Bank. Sideline the UN's negotiating role and abandon the Kyoto Protocol. And it says that the document is being interpreted by developing countries as setting unequal limits on per capita carbon emissions for developed countries, meaning that people in rich countries will be permitted to emit nearly twice as much under the proposals. And it goes on in the text of the new agreement, saying that this will essentially, this was done in secret. This will end the United Nations as we know it. This is a secretive organization taking over. It says that the private banks will set standards for the third world to get the tax money stolen from the West via carbon taxes, to give private banks and private corporations built around those banks total hegemonic control over the entire planet. I mean, it is unbelievable. And then we have the full text of the treaty right here. We have the full text of the addendum right here. They're all up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. Stay with us.